Welcome to part 3 of my motorcycle gear podcast with Mike Stout, where we actually turned this into a video series. So this has been a fun little experiment to do some camera work. I've actually got some studio lights. That's why my nose is red and I'm lit up here. But I think we'll do more of these as I get more and more comfortable. But in the video you're going to watch, we're going to show my helmet first, and then we'll let this episode sign off, because it's the actual end of the podcast that I intended to do that we've turned into a video review. And Mike and I talk a little bit about his current favorite motorcycles that he's purchased, and a couple of vintage BMWs. It's really cool to hear him talk about those. And I am an Arai helmet guy. I love Arai. And I've looked at that XD-5, which was basically the adventure helmet that floated around forever. You saw it in The Long Way Up with Charlie and Ian. I always say Charlie first, if you notice that, because I fancy myself Charlie in this Jerod Foster, Brandon Weaver dynamic. He's obviously Ewan because he's more good looking. But in this video with Mike Stout, we sit down and look at the new Arai XD-5. And the color was sage. Really good helmet, and I had not worn this helmet for any length of period before this trip, and so I was really tempted at that XD-5. But there's one thing that kept me from pulling the trigger. One, price, because I got this helmet at a really good price. Motorcycle Gear sells them all day long, and they've got a good inventory of them. But this is the Klim Krios Pro. In the previous video, I think I said Rally, but this is the Krios Pro. Really great helmet. As you can see, I got my comms still on it. Light. Very important, because we were on the bikes from just before sun up to sundown. And here's what I love the most about this helmet. This transition lens. And from what I know, looking at Arai, I don't think they have. There may be an aftermarket, and it was actually pretty hard to even find a smoked lens when I looked online. I didn't look really hard, but as I say in this video, I'm not wearing sunglasses under a clear visor. One that starts to poke on my, right here behind my ear. But this thing, I didn't think it would get dark enough, but I mean, living in these helmets for 15 days on the road, it got plenty dark, plenty clear. I mean, at transition, you just didn't know. It would be dark and you'd be protected. Like I said, lightweight helmet. Got the Motorcycle Gear logo right there. I think they've got a new logo now. They've changed this. But I love this color. It's a flat gray. This thing was handled by many of our crew, putting in our microphones in it. Simon Parmley glued a magnet for our Road GoPros. I always get that wrong. Road Pros. But anyways, we had microphones in our helmet so they could record our conversations, and then we had our comms so Jerod and I could talk. But great helmet. This flat gray. It's kind of a dull gray. Jerod's is shinier. I dropped this helmet a couple times, which is nice because it doesn't show scuffs. And visor, no issues with air. I could turn my head and it didn't impact. Like I said, great helmet. It did, when it was cold, I shut the vents and it still felt like cold air was blown into my ears. I don't know what that was. I asked Jerod, he said he wasn't feeling the same thing, so maybe I've got more holes in my head. But we don't talk about this helmet in the next video. I just did. It's a great helmet. I recommend it. As an Arai guy, it's quieter than my current Arai. I have a Signet, I think, and that's my track day helmet. And I actually thought about wearing it on this trip because I wasn't sure if I could spend 15 days in a helmet that I had never worn before, because it has, as I say in the video, it's got this weird little neck cushion that touches the back of my neck that I haven't had before. So I thought that might drive me crazy. It didn't. After 2 hours on the motorcycle, that went away and it just became a part of my head. Looked cool. One of the coolest looking helmets I think on the market. You do look like a spaceman. But good helmet, and we'll start the video where Mike and I talk about the Arai XD-5, and I'll be getting one of those someday. But right now, this helmet with this transition lens, man, I don't know. I can't say enough about it. Both Jerod and I have really raved about it on the trip, and check out the pictures at the GreatPlainsProject.com, and you'll see both of us in our helmets and how cool we look. We look like we're straight out of an adventure magazine, and maybe this trip will be an adventure magazine. It'll be on Texas Tech PBS 1 year from now as a docu-series, so stay tuned for that. And I'd like to just thank everyone who supported us and our crew, and I want to thank you for following along with the podcasts and hopefully watching these video series. And we'll do some more of this, and let's go to the showroom with Brandon and Mike and finish the series. Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay. All right. Love it. Arai helmet, favorite helmet in the world. And this is the new, their new adventure helmet.
New XD-5.
XD-5. And what was the previous?
XD-4.
Okay. Oh, there you go. Now I feel like Surge from that other company. And that one that the original guy from. Oh. So, what can you tell me about the helmet?
It's a good helmet. So as far as new features, they've changed a little bit of the like the
visor,
the top visor there. Yeah, thanks for the words that I can't come up with. They changed the way it attaches and the angle, and it's supposedly a little bit more aerodynamic. They put a vent here in the eyebrow, and then the vent here on top. And again, aerodynamics have changed with all that. They changed the front vent and the rear vent. And yeah, just, it maintains Arai's kind of longer oval. You know, everybody says intermediate oval. Arai's the longest oval that there is in the U.S., so.
Put this on. Oh, that's weird that I can't hear it. Yeah, I put this on earlier, and I was like, it's an extra large. That's how well I know my Arai helmets. Yeah, the view. See how that works. The view out of this thing is a lot nicer, and the visor action itself, just nice. They're just nice helmets.
Yeah, I think they did a really solid job, and I like that Mojave Sage colorway too.
Yeah, really cool. Here, I'll let you sit down. I don't want to.
Oh no, it's all.
I like that.
Pretty resilient. Yeah, the helmet donuts are nice too.
Well, maybe after this trip, or I may get 4 or 5 days in, and the climb is giving me a headache.
I'll ship you one.
Yeah, because the climb has this weird lip right here. I don't know if you've put enough helmets on or noticed the difference in them.
Yeah, I haven't noticed anything on the back of the climb.
It's really strange. It's like a little skirt, and it touches the back of my neck.
Oh.
And I'm like...
Just enough to bother you?
Yeah.
Well, distract you really is the problem.
Just to be different. And I've worn Shoei. I've worn Bell helmets when I race motocross, but street bike, it's always been Arai. And I bought an Arai Signet in the mid-90s for $200.
A little bit more expensive now.
And it's unbelievable how expensive helmets. I know, and we thought they were expensive then, but for a college kid at the time, $200 was expensive. But they're way expensive now.
Yeah,
I mean, that helmet now is is it $1,000 or $800?
No, so the Signet, I think it's around $800, maybe $819.
And that's probably what inflation is, and just the increase of
yeah. And with Arai and Shoei, you're paying for a person to build your helmet. That's the big difference with Arai and Shoei. They're all handmade. They put them in the forms by hand. It's a much more intense process than all the other brands. So.
Okay, so like even Klim, a machine makes that helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that's part of it. But that Klim wasn't cheap either.
Right. Yeah.
So
Klim does a lot with their materials. Their expense is more in materials. Arai's done the R&D for so long that it's not really new R&D anymore. So
the Klim's a lot lighter helmet. Feels like perception wise.
So it's the Krios. It should be carbon probably.
Okay.
Depending on which one you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be when you're talking carbon helmets, you're talking maybe half a pound lighter than a non-carbon helmet. It's not a huge difference until you're on the bike all day, and then it's a pretty big difference.
Yeah. Maybe after this trip, we'll talk about it in Arai.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, this has been fun. I think, man, y'all have been great. And I think we'll talk about gloves here in a little bit.
Yeah.
And what
I just want to say again, like with the gloves, bringing out all that stuff to show you, that's what we do for everybody. So everybody that comes in, that's that's what we try to do to set ourselves apart. You tell us what you're looking for, and we'll bring out every option. Let you look at it.
Yeah, and you're conveniently located here in Plano, Texas, right here in the middle of the Metroplex. So
Yeah.
that's our little sales pitch. But yeah, I mean, and we're not a huge podcast. We were talking about your talent that's coming on to do some of your reviews, and he's got a pretty good following on YouTube.
Mhm.
And I mean, we're fairly new, and I'm 52, so it's not like I'm a some sort of YouTube star that I don't know that algorithm.
Right.
My YouTube videos, we don't do the big. Everyone has like a big graphic over the top, and like,
Right.
this was the most extreme rescue he's ever done. I follow
Yeah,
the
just the over the top.
Yeah.
Get the clicks. Yeah.
I follow the off-road Mike, the guy that does is it off-road Mike? He does the recoveries in Moab.
Okay. Yeah.
He's got like 1 million followers,
Yeah.
and he's got some sort of 4x4 rig, and he goes and rescues all these idiots that get stuck in Moab. And when I first started watching him, it was just pretty subdued, and now they've gotten a lot more extreme. A lot more bait click stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's we definitely don't want to get into that kind of stuff, but we do want to start putting out videos showing off new products and getting the information out there. So
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, I go to those all the time, and I will say Jerod and Simon go to those a lot more than me, and they'll talk about these YouTube things, and I'm like, I don't have any idea. I know who you're talking about, but I can't sit and watch them. So I'm looking forward to y'all having some stuff out there, and hopefully this real world testing will help some. And
yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking forward. I think all the gear I got's some pretty solid.
Yeah, you definitely got some of the you're not going wrong with anything you got. So
Yeah, and y'all sell Nelson rig. What's your most popular adventure
luggage?
Yeah,
it'd be SW Motec.
okay.
SW Motec is a German brand. They have anything from saddlebags, tank bags, basically everything, tent bags. They have different setups that they use rings that mount on your gas tank, and then it's like a magnetic closure, and you can lock that to secure it. It's they do a lot with the guy that's going across multiple countries and needs the security. So.
Yeah, because you can pop that stuff off and not worry about it. I looked at that stuff, but I just couldn't settle in on it for some reason. The rings.
Yeah, it's really neat stuff. I can show you later. The way it works is pretty cool.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank y'all so much I wish James could have joined us.
Yeah, he's a little tied up with the new baby back there crying. So
He's in the back with his daughter, and he's got a little iPhone next to her to play music to keep her quiet.
in a harness, carrying it around while he's doing some shipping back there.
Yeah, I'm like James, come out, and I think it'll be really cool to show Dad at work.
And that's what the microphone's set up for.
It's there. It's not for Elijah. I think it's the Jewish people who have a chair for Elijah in their religion during holidays, but that's for James. He exists. I've met him.
He's just a little busy.
Yeah.
Got a couple things going on right now.
So when did y'all move here to Plano?
We moved here in March of 2023.
Okay.
The store opened and basically Memorial Day of 2023. So about a year ago. And a half ago almost.
You get a lot more walk-in traffic.
Oh, a lot more. Yeah, shallow water is kind of out there. And so when we were there in shallow water, we had an employee that started in 2020. He was my age, lived in shallow water his entire life. Motorcycle gear had been in shallow water since probably around 2000. Paul started the business in 98 in Clovis, New Mexico, because he was working there at I think he was making some kind of pipes for oil rigs or something. He's an engineer by trade. So when he started the business, he was there in Clovis and then moved to the family farm when he actually built the buildings. Anyway, all that to say that Brian, our employee, had lived there his whole life. And I mean, it's not a big town, and he had no idea we were there. So, I don't know what the population is, but I would say it's not over maybe 4,000. So
yeah, I knew you were there. And when Simon went in, I think I actually sent Simon, I said, yeah, there's a retailer out there. I couldn't remember, Shallow Water, Friendship, or, all those little towns, all those little farming communities. But I knew y'all were out there, and I didn't know that they'd changed ownership, because I had tried to buy a pair of Technic leathers from the original owner. And at the time, I don't know if you remember kneedraggers.com. That was a retail. I guess since I was in a different state than them, they could give me a discount, and knew enough That's what it was then, right?
Yeah.
He couldn't do that because I guess they were drop shipping, directly from Technique to me.
Right.
And so I think Knee Draggers had like a 20% discount coupon.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, man, I really want to. I told him, I didn't talk to him. I just talked to someone on the phone.
With the policies from the distributors and everything, it's, all the time it's trying to price match stuff in Europe, and we can't do it because number one, our price is probably over what they're selling it to customers for. Yeah. But it's a kind of messed up deal. So.
I think it was a $1,400 set of leathers.
Oof.
Yeah. Technique or kangaroo suit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Technique's no more.
No, not around anymore. We have a framed one over in the corner over there that was one of our employee, Cassidy, her grandfather's jacket is over in the corner. And then we have an old Technique sign somewhere that was hanging in the old warehouse that's around here somewhere. So.
Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of Technique when I was riding around Dallas in the 90s I wasn't a street racer, but I ran with street racers. And so we did a lot of stuff going down 35. And if you're listening to this and you knew the street racing scene, everyone met at Whataburger on Northwest Highway. And and I remember the Technique jackets were really they were white and really bright colors, but their racing stuff was really, really good. And their kangaroo stuff was about the most affordable. I mean, it was really, unfortunately, I enjoyed too many tacos and pizzas, and I can't get into that. It was pretty snug as it was, and now I have an Alpine Stars kangaroo suit.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with kangaroo suits.
No, and it's fun to say that I have a kangaroo suit.
Yeah.
You said you're into horsepower. What's your? I know you used to have a Bronco. You still have that Bronco?
Yeah, still got the Bronco.
Yeah.
I've got a Model A.
That's right. Yeah.
I've got a Bel Air, and for my bike, I've got a R69S.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucked into that one. That was a good deal.
Yeah. From just a dealership or?
No. So we went to a BMW meeting here once we moved to Plano. The local BMW group wanted us to come in and talk. And we're in there talking about things, and a guy comes in and he's got a sheet of paper with bikes he's trying to sell. He's kind of aged out of it. He doesn't ride anymore. And he wrote down, he put 1987 K75C. Okay. I don't know my BMWs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
87 sounds okay. 72 R75/5 with a toaster tank. I don't know. I mean, I like classic stuff, obviously. Toaster tank, that sounds cool.
It does sound cool.
Yeah. So, and then you put a 1962 R69S. I was like, well, it's a 62. That's pretty vintage, but that's cool. So we went and talked to him, and we were able to work out a pretty good deal. The 87 was basically in running condition. The other two needed some work, but pretty minor stuff, and they're back on the road. And
So you bought all three?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay. So there was a bunch of numbers thrown around.
Yeah. I'm telling you, when I read it, I was like, I don't know what any of this is, but it all looks cool.
So the K75, if I remember, was that full fairing sport bike, right?
Right. It's so it's a 3-cylinder. They call it the Flying Brick.
Okay.
Yeah.
What color?
So it was silver. Right now that's one that we're turning into something. I'm not entirely sure what we're turning it into.
For motorcycle gear?
Yeah, we were gonna make it a cafe racer, and I ordered parts that don't fit it, so that was fun. And you'd think I'd know better, right?
Yeah.
And, yeah. So right now, one of our vendors actually is doing some custom work for us, and it's going to be basically like a desert sled kind of thing is what we're turning it into. So
you'll take the plastic off and strip it out, and then the second bike.
Second bike's a 1972 K75/5.
Okay. And then
with a toaster tank.
Okay. And what is the toaster tank?
Toaster tank, it's basically metal. It has metal on the side, so it looks like an old school toaster, and it's a little skinnier than the stock tank, but it kind of gives it a really classic look. It looks good.
And then the third bike.
Third bike, the 1962 R69S.
Okay.
And it's a kickstart only, so somebody who's not great at riding, like this guy over here.
Like this guy.
Yeah. Someone who's stalled out every bike he's ever been on.
Yeah.
You get a little nervous sometimes on that, but it's fun.
Yeah. So you like the old stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, when we went to the handmade bike show, I know you really, really had some favorites there.
Yeah. The Handbuilt show in Austin is always a good time. The one show in Portland's always good. I think they're doing a new Handbuilt show in LA this year. That's gonna be good.
So it's the Handbuilt, handmade. Made is I think the bicycle show now.
Oh, possibly.
It used to be, crap, I can't remember, but yeah. So it's, the hand built show. They have some really cool stuff.
Yeah, put on by Revival down there in Austin. They do some incredible work. So
yeah, and it's in the old Austin Statesman building, and the lighting in there is phenomenal.
Yeah,
and that was fun. I really appreciate.
Yeah, it's a interesting. And I don't know, have you ever been to the One Moto in Portland?
Never.
Okay, they used to have it in the old pickle factory building. So like half the windows are busted out, and you're in this kind of derelict facility. But I mean, it's just right when you're in there with the kind of sweaty older motorcycles. It was right.
Perfect.
So,
yeah. Dream bike. What would you build?
Oh man, I'd probably that R69S. I didn't even know what we were walking into, and that bike. So we went to the MOA, the Motorcycle Owners Rally, in 2021, and I took a picture of an R69S, and I was like, man, that bike's beautiful. I love that bike. And then now I have one. So
here's what'll be impressive. And I don't bet I get it done, because my motorcycle right now is my Africa twin. Jerod and I are riding. He's got a red, white, and blue Goldish, and mine's red, black, and white. And I swapped out the tires on mine. And my front fork started leaking. So I had a suspension guy tune it. Or actually, he just put new seals in it and freshened up the fluid. I wanted to do a whole, complete revalve and everything, but I'm buying gear right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and gotta pick your battles.
Yeah, and so we went to Colorado for 2 months, and I took care of it, and basically got the forks back right before we left. I just put the forks on, so it's just sitting in my house right now,
nice,
on that center stand with no wheels, and I've got to put all this stuff on and pack all this stuff. But luckily, I'm a bike packer, so I got a lot of room that I can play with.
Yeah,
we got a pretty cool camp stove set up that we're gonna run a little bit bigger, cook a little bit more. We're not going to eat out of a bag, dehydrated meals.
Yeah.
We're gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, with that many people going, you gotta have some campfire stuff going on. So
we're gonna try and keep Jerod and I separate. Like, we're gonna stay true to the trip, and because they've got one of the guys on the trip is he does a lot of outdoor cooking. He's worked with the Texas Outdoor Pursuit Center and has cooked for those trips. Michael Ortiz. He's on the trip, and he's actually shooting video for Texas Tech, the marketing department.
Nice.
So him and Justin Rex, or Justin's a photographer, and Michael's. I think we've got not every, the students come and go, and there's only 5. There's 10 students in the whole class, and so we'll have 5 students at a time. But then we have graduate students. We have 2 full-time graduate students, Maddie and Gemma, and then we have Michael Ortiz. It's going to be a production going down the road, and we're going to draw a lot of attention.
Yeah. And
I'm pretty honored to be a part of it.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. I've always wanted to do the Transamerica Trail, and that it basically sounds like that kind of trip. So
yeah, so I really appreciate y'all welcoming me in. You're not even open today. That's why there's nobody in here, because it's a Monday, and I bet traffic's really juicing up right about.
Right. Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. I got to drive all the way across the Metroplex to Erath County. God, there was something else. Oh, I'll tell you my dream motorcycle.
Yeah.
And I don't really like old motorcycles, but I have a sweet spot for those first CB 750s in the 70s.
Yes.
With like the yellowish gold tank on them.
Okay, yeah. One of our employees, he's in college right now, and his first bike, he has a CB 750. It's red, so it's like a 70, probably like a 77 or 78, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's his bike that he's kind of learning to ride on.
And does he ride it up here?
Or he rode it a couple times, but right now he had some engine work done, and it wasn't done well. And he's pretty unhappy with it, so he's got to do some more work on it.
I think 1976. There's probably experts out there that are can be like, no, it was 77, but it had the kind of the goldish yellow paint on the tank, and then black and wired spokes wheels. My granddad had a 1982 CB 750K, and it was a really ugly bike for it was right in the 80s. Things got weird and square.
Yeah.
But that's the first thing I ever went 100 miles per hour on. I took it out. I was probably 13, 12 years old, and just kept pushing it.
Opened it up.
Yeah. Well, I was on the county road in front of the house. I don't think I had a helmet on, and I was like, and looked down 95, 97, and then I stopped.
Yeah.
And I turned around. I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm going to do it.
Go push it. Yeah.
So I touched 100. I really love a CBX, the 6-cylinder.
Yeah.
You see those that have been restored, and it's just a massive block of engine.
The gentleman that runs the motorcycle training out there in Lubbock, I'm pretty sure he has one of those that he's rebuilding.
Oh, what was his name?
Art.
Art.
Yeah,
Art has a CBX?
I'm pretty sure. I know he's got some kind of Honda that he's redoing.
So
he's got a Norton. He's got a bunch of cool stuff. He's got all kinds of cool stuff.
Art is the Motorcycle Safety Foundation instructor in Lubbock. And I had...
Saddle up.
Saddle up.
Saddle up.
He's an artist. He's like an artist over in Slayton. I think he's got like some sort of old building and he does art. I don't know what kind of art. That's his name.
He's a cool guy, man. He's got a lot going on.
He looks like a guy that rides a Norton though.
Yeah.
He's got that kind of that it's not steampunk, it's rockabilly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Art, I've been riding, I've had my M designation since I was like 17. And Jerod, our partner who's I'm doing this trip with, of course I talk about Jerod Foster on the podcast all the time. Jerod didn't have his license before we did that first New Mexico BDR story that Simon shot. So Jerod had to get his license and kind of introduce himself to the motorcycle, and because he had ridden as a kid. So he's like, I said, well, you should take an MSF course. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take it with you. Because I've heard that it's a nightmare for people who've been riding their whole life.
Yeah, you got to untrain all the bad.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I'm gonna take it with you. And I thought we might turn it into a story, but we couldn't take any cameras in, so there was no way to capture it. And Art wasn't really hip to us making it into a story. And so we go, and it's right after it's like 2021. I mean, everything's still pretty hot from the pandemic, and everyone's wearing masks. You don't have to wear one, but I mean, it was just a weird time. So we go to Lubbock, and it was middle of summer, like August or something. Oh
man, brutal. Yeah. And
I was wearing my Alpine Stars road racing boots. I can't remember what brand. And I mean, just standing in them all day was brutal. Yeah. So you had to wear some sort of leather. I'm like, I don't have cowboy boots.
Oh, really? I thought it was just like long sleeves and boots over the heel or over the ankle.
Yeah, but that's all I don't. That's all I have.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have anything. I didn't have any hiking boots. That's the closest thing I had.
Yeah, I think I took mine in hiking boots because I didn't commit to gear yet. Yeah.
And we sat in the classroom and introduced ourselves and our riding experience. And I told him my full experience, but he didn't listen to me. I said, I've ridden track days for the last decade, and I've ridden dirt my whole life. I've had my designation. I did, rode a crotch rocket in the 90s like a crazy person. And I said, I'm here just to support my friend. And I just kind of I've always wanted to, I don't know, I've always wanted to do that. I just wanted to see what it was like.
Yeah. See if you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was going to be this is the most difficult thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Art just grasped that I was just a dirt guy. And so when we were doing, I picked a Grom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And there's a couple of guys, he said, well, the most experienced ones should take these bigger bikes. And they were like some sort of Chinese chopper.
Yeah. That's what I was on.
Yeah.
Cause I'm kind of a bigger guy. So I was on the bigger bike.
Yeah.
And they got these guys on the Groms out there, doing whatever.
Yeah.
You can do a figure 8 on that thing, nothing.
Yeah.
And here I am, first time rider on Hyosung, I think it was. Hyosung.
Yeah.
Yeah. That thing, it was an experience.
Yeah. So I took the Grom, and of course I cover the front brake. I just do.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm like, I'm here, I'm going to respect Art and do what he wants, and, try to embrace this like a brand new rider. And so it's just so natural for me to cover the front brake from riding track day because, I just can do it. And then Art was on me. Like, he's like, you can do that in the dirt. But he goes, if you cover the front brake on asphalt, you're going to, I'm like, I was like, oh, he doesn't remember that I told him that I can ride track day, that I can pretty fast track day rider. And so I just let it go. But I mean, I was just like, don't sit here and go, well, I can do this.
Right.
But I mean, still, it was so hard. He's like, you can't cover that front brake in the asphalt. I'm like, in my head, I'm going, Art, I can do this at 120 miles per hour, go a minute to the whatever turn it is at Coda and brake.
But he's seen the bad side of it, so that's why he does all that.
He's a much better, like Simon that went through that program.
Mm-hmm.
Simon's a 10 times better street rider than I am. Like we were playing around trying to do some stuff for PBS, do like a moto travel show. And of course we were riding through Lubbock, and I'm just like, I haven't been in traffic
traffic in Lubbock's a little different animal than everywhere else too.
Isn't it? I don't understand why we all got to drive in the right lane going down the loop all day long.
Yeah.
So, and Simon's just chill, man. He's just like perfect form, and he's not covering the front brake. And I need to be going at least 90 miles per hour faster than traffic. And so, yeah, I need to do some riding before we do this trip because my street senses are not great. When we did the Lone Star way up, I rode to the Sea Rim State Park and rode through the middle of Houston. I mean,
there's some things that maybe not worth doing.
No. But I mean, I was like, timing was, I had to get there. Well, that was fun. We did some moto talk. Are you a drag race guy? Did I make that up? Did you like?
No, not really.
Not Top Fuel?
No, not really into that.
Is James
stuff.
into that?
No.
Huh. I just made that up.
I guess.
Thought y'all were into some sort of drag racing. Kind of enjoyed watching Top Fuel or some of that.
No, we grew up racing go-karts. Maybe that's what you're thinking.
Did y'all race dirt cart? Dirt?
Hmm?
Okay.
Yeah.
In Lubbock?
No. We were around here, Dallas area, but kind of all over the Southwest.
Okay.
Really.
And maybe we talked about that because I used to race shifter carts.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. James. All right.
Oh, he disappeared.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to call this because it's 4:30, I bet, and traffic is. I got to drive all the way through Fort Worth and to Erath, Hood County, and wrap this thing up.
All right. Well, I definitely appreciate you thinking of us and coming by and doing all this.
Yeah.
So.
But I didn't take too much of y'all time. I know you probably got something.
This has been fun. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for the gear, and we'll sort out what gloves I'm going to choose and reveal that in the show.
All right.
All right. Thanks so much,
Sounds
Mike.
good. Thank you.
Bye.